Morning to all the participants and our today's faculty, Sri Krishna Kumar. He is consultant in ITS. All of you know that we are conducting this online mode of training program on operation, maintenance, and tolling of highway. This is a 6 days online training program. All the topics will be covered in the forenoon of for all the days from Monday to Saturday. In this training program, we will discuss on the operation of highways, maintenance of highways, tolling also on the national highway will also be covered. Uh, and these topics will be covered in. We will also issue the certificate to only those participants who will secure minimum 75% attendance in all the sessions. So this is the participant who will attend minimum 5 sessions will get the certificates. Actually, I am on the way to attend some meeting, so I am not available at our office. So my internet is, I think, is not properly working. So to start his presentation on operation of highways, in that he will cover the incident management and ITS applications. Thanking you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity for able to speak to our participants on this specific subject of traffic incident management, and ITS, intelligent transport systems. So if everybody is there and prepared, we can actually start. All right. Hello, are you with this presentation? Everybody can hear and
Yes,
see?
sir. Visible, sir. Visible, sir.
Yeah, you have my presentation screen
Yes,
on?
sir. Screen, sir. Visible, sir.
Good. So we have this training program on operation, maintenance, and tolling of highways, as the introductor provided the details. Asked to do this presentation, and I was actually pleasantly surprised to find traffic incident management as the key topic of this discussion. This is one of the areas where I feel Indian industry and the Indian road sector has not grown up and matured enough, and which is actually required when we have this large number of deaths on the road. Unlike many other countries, more than 1.5 lakh people, as per Government of India, Ministry of Highways, 1.5 lakh, and as per World Bank, it is 2.99, and as per it is above 5 lakh. So we are very, very bad even in keeping the numbers. And then the ITS applications, of course. We will go through this one by one. Incident management, otherwise team, is actually consists of a planned and coordinated multidisciplinary process to detect, respond, and clear traffic incidents and restore traffic as safely and quickly as possible. Now, why we are looking at this as the important thing, there is, all of you know, there is something called golden hour. Golden hour is the time between which a traffic accident victim time taken between the accident and the medical services is made available to the victim. And saving, doing this right can save as many as 40% of the deaths on the on the roads as per American statistics. And we in India, we do not have a well set up data collection plan for all these things. So we go it on slow. No, let us now look at what is a traffic incident. An incident is defined as any non-recurring random event and that causes a reduction of a roadway capacity or an abnormal increase in demand. When everything is traffic is flowing smoothly, everything is all right, and then all your surveillance and cautionary systems are awake to make sure that if anything goes abnormal, to jump in immediately and then start acting on that. Now, these incidents, what are these things? It can be a traffic crash, between vehicles coming and, pushing at each other. Broken down vehicles got broken down, tire punctured, or, engine getting heated up or whatever way. And the third can be a spilled cargo. And mind you, if it is, if the cargo is, chemicals of, different order or petroleum or any such things, the intensity of the incident grows. And then there can be also be incidents during the highway maintenance and reconstruction. And the other type of events that could happen is the non-emergency events. You have games scheduled near the traffic region, so you can expect a lot of vehicles coming at a time towards the game venue, and also same way when it is actually over. True for concerts or even public protests on meetings and things like that. These kind of events happen on a highway, and how effectively we are able to handle it is what is all about traffic incident management. The most important and difficult thing to handle is to avoid the secondary crashes. If you can see, the first original crash takes place and the severity is only this much, and then immediately if action would have been taken, this much of a backlog would have been built. We have seen videos and WhatsApp forwards going around in India, in the North India during this season, when the winter sets in and there is a heavy fog and visibility situation, we will find a vehicle getting stuck by another vehicle, and the other vehicle will keep on coming, and we have a kind of a telescopic crash taking place between the vehicles. This even a lot of private people have passed these audio videos and shown to us. But the point here is that there has to be a proper process in which the incident has to be managed. We have to go through in a step-by-step manner, in an organized and systematic manner. Otherwise, the whole process, the whole effort will not be useful enough. Once an incident occurs, what happens first is the initial notification. We call them detection. During detection, there is a process to be followed, and once the information is available to a call center or emergency call center or the road service providers call center, or your 911 or whatever that is. In India, you have the 1921. I think there is this thing available for the road accidents. Then a verification has to take place, and then you have to dispatch responders to the site. And then the responder will arrive at the site, and after arriving, the first thing the responder to do is to confirm the location and the availability, the problems, and initial assessment of the situation, and also requisite to help, and someone wrecker is actually the English, American word for your recovery vehicles, the kind of recovery vans and cranes and that kind of things. It's called a wrecker in American English. A wrecker arrives, and and then once once a responder come, the first thing will be to remove the rescue the uh, personnel involved in the accident, and they are put into a ambulance or whatever and sent across. And then the wrecker comes and they remove all the vehicle and they leave, and then they clear the site. Once they leave the site, law enforcement also take the necessary. Whenever accidents happen, there will be some breach of law, and then the normal traffic flow restores. So this whole process has to be done in a systematic manner. This is one of the areas where there is a lot of importance given in the international scenario, especially in US and Europe and many other places. We are not having this in a much better scale, but it is high time now. Primarily because we have started having expressways. Sorry, these expressways, the incidents happen, when the crashes happen, they are quite at high, large speed. And the impact and the accident potential that they create are very, very high. So let us see how we should proceed on this and where we stand with respect to this. The first step in a process is to detect the incident. How to detect? How are the things? The first phase is incident management. It is the detection. All right. When the attention of agencies responsible for the emergency handling is drawn during this process, the incident victims are the most critical, and they have to come and do. The first responder is arriving at the stage, at the place. Then suddenly the situation also became quite difficult. Becomes quite difficult, with a lot of vehicles parking up in a kind of typical Indian scenario or regular scenario. The vehicles passing by will, in the available lanes, will start stopping and looking at what happens, thus creating havoc at the scene of the incident. And also, if the vehicles going in the other carriageway, opposite carriageway, also will stop the vehicle and start looking at and crowd up the area. These are all going to work negatively for efficient handling of the incident.
NHA member.
The quick response minimizes the exposure and speeds the implementation and incident. What I am saying is detected. The quick response minimizes the exposure, speeds the implementation of the traffic control, and minimize the overall incident impact. Then another thing is that there are now in the control rooms, there are a lot of algorithms keep working from the data. The control room or ITS equipment in the field to keep connecting. For example, there are video incident detection systems. We will see them, how it works as we go along. There is a human brain. There is a brain behind the camera. And when an incident happens, like two vehicles are stationary or a vehicle is going in the controlled highways. We have animals and push carts and pedestrians and public walking into the carriageways. All these incidents will automatically initiate an alarm at the control room and seek the attention of the responders. There are also other detection systems that can provide from the automatic vehicle count classifier. If you have something like that working on the field, and if you are having it online, you can suddenly find the traffic flow has stopped at a point, which indicates that there is a problem. And then if you have a camera, you can immediately zoom in on that and then see how that can be handled. And then detection of incidents, and these are the sources the incidents are actually coming into the the control room are largely by maximum number is seen from the wireless telephone calls made by the motorist. The moment somebody driving on the highway and see an accident happening or something happens, he immediately calls them. And emergency telephone systems, which we have earlier, prior to the introduction and proliferation of cellular phones, the only way to reach the control room used to be the emergency telephones. This used to be once upon a time the lifeline of the incident management of highways. Every 2 kilometers minimum, at both sides of the road, exactly opposite to each other, there is an emergency telephone system, which have kind of accessibility even with minimum facilities. Like if you go and push a button, that will start connecting you to the control room, and there will be a speaker, and you can keep speaking to them. The idea of putting them is that at no stage when a accident victim is actually looking for a phone, he should not have the compulsion or interest to cross over the road and on the other side. That will actually cause more accidents. This 2 kilometer limit the emergency telephone systems are not properly understood in India, because I think in one or two of the systems initially when they installed, some smart engineer thought, why do we do it like that? Let us put 1 kilometer on one side of the road and another 1 kilometer on other side of the road and another 1 kilometer on other side of the road. Like that. Alternatively, we will put in every kilometer, so the nearest emergency phone becomes less than a kilometer for everybody. Even the other case it is. And there are always signboards saying where is the nearest telephone booth available. Made this defunct and not actually useful. When it comes to tunnels, you have no other option, because your wireless phones will be useless, because most of the tunnels will not catch your normal type of wireless 2G, 3G, 4G, even 5G for that matter. So we have to solely dependent on the emergency telephones. And then as I mentioned earlier, the incident detection systems and VIDS of the ITS control room. And in many cities, especially in many roads, especially in the Middle East and largely Europe, they use the microwave detectors on the roadside, at closer quarters of, wherever there is a accident prone areas, they keep it every 50 or 100 meters apart, and they keep on reporting passing of vehicles. And when vehicles are stopped, immediately these systems report to the control room, and they can take the initiate the next action. And as I mentioned earlier, reports from the traffic measuring devices, which is part of the system, will also keep coming in handy. The other source is the patrol vehicles of the police or highway police, vastly seen in India, and also road operators, roaming service, and also fleet vehicles. They also can, report incidents. Now the new feature, aerial surveillance. Nowadays drones are being put to service in a large manner for detection. For one of the projects we planned for Mumbai Nagpur Expressway, they have scheduled that there is a drone available at every 20-25 kilometers, so that if there is an incident detections, incident reported, any other, these drones are is actually doing surveillance flights every time throughout the road, and whenever there is a specific incident reported or suspected from one point, the nearest available drone can be directed to go there and beam the visuals to the control room to have assess the situation, to have an assessment of the situation. And of course, as I mentioned, incident detection algorithms at the control rooms help to do this. Now, verification is the second step of incident management. Traffic. This is a very quick step to confirm the actual occurrence of the incident. In India, when the first time they put a emergency telephone system on the Kotputli Amir section of the Jaipur Road, Delhi Jaipur Road, I happened to visit the control room. So at 12 o'clock, around 12:30, 1 o'clock, all the calls started coming up from every emergency phone, especially some specific ones. So the operator says, sir, the school has just left and the children are there on the road and they are prosecuted. So this is it. So there used to be a lot of Hawks calls earlier. Even now there are Hawks calls. There are people who feel lonely just to call the emergency numbers to spend their time. It's actually a big thing. And the next step is to exact location and the direction of travel of the incident has to be confirmed. And the operator will have to obtain and assess as many details as possible on the incident. The most and often used method is to switch on the CCTV of that particular location and zooming in on that particular place. But in many places, it may not be available coverage. But the new highways and the new expressways are supposed to have end-to-end CCTV coverage with the zooming systems available. Drones are becoming extremely handy in pressing into service for this. And confirmation from data feeds of, you got a call, you are not sure, but then, you have secondary verification from data feed from the ATCCs and other ITS equipment. And then the on-scene personnel. There will be good Samaritan drivers who stop by, stand at this thing, or the incident center, and then immediately start giving information and details to the control room as to what is actually being witnessed by him. The technologies that are used for detection and verification are inductive loop detectors. These inductive loop detectors are simple electric coils, copper coils, are 1 to 2 inches below the ground with some voltage passing on them, which creates a EMF on them. And when vehicles, largely the metallic vehicles pass over them, they actually cut the flux and create an EMF based on which it can actually register a presence and even provide a data as to the class of the vehicles and things like that. Similarly, magnetometers are put in the locations. Microwave radars, I just mentioned to you. Microwave radars are used extensively in Europe and the Middle East. And infrared detectors are used where, we have higher, problem of snow, flows and things like that. Ultrasonic detection is also used in many places. And video imaging, when the visibilities are good, video imaging is the image processing is the best process available. Provided the environment is clean and you are able to see the thing. Closed circuit television camera, of course. Location systems, GPS things. Sorry, can actually do that, which can actually take input from different places and combine them so that you have a primary, secondary, and tertiary confirmation for the incident, and then go ahead with the next plan. The next item on this is to dispatch field units. This will all be happening in seconds. The nearest field unit or the police or the service patrols are the first dispatched to the site. The first responder verifies the incident. Whomsoever reaches the first, I would suggest you watch this 9/11. It's a series, web series, where they are focusing around incident handling, not on the highways, but the fire service of some New York City, I think. Yeah, New York, yeah, somewhere, no, New York, somewhere near. And then the people, Los Angeles, yeah, Los Angeles. LACT 118 is the um, fire station, and the story, that particular story is, but the main thing they keep showing, forget about the drama and people, things like that. But surely the way that serial depicts the handling of an emergency management. The moment the first responder comes, he presses the video, he produces a, radio and starts saying, I'm at the site, this is the situation, and this is the location, and the access to this location is this, and we have the nearest thing, opposite side, what is available, what our local help is available, and all that information goes there. And now in most metropolitan city networks abroad have, air survey, air traffic patrols. They keep moving in the highways and keep looking at, and whenever there is an emergency or thing noticed or reported to them, they can immediately go there. And there are these aircraft patrols which are only used to actually have a good camera and view the location and guide the others to handle it. And there are also air ambulances that can be put into service where it can drop medicos and other emergency handling personnel, airdrop them into the location. Combining the information from various phone calls, radio messages, and verify them and put it together is the reason of that. So in the same serial which I mentioned, that I'm recommending some web series to you. The story moves around 9/11 operators. One operator, the moment they receive a call and how they actually handle it, how they get emotionally involved, and how they work through and few of those accidents, few of the incidents, accidents reported and seen in that particular, this thing is also traffic accidents. So now the moment, and when direction and advisories are to be transmitted to motorists to lessen the impact of the incident by appropriate diversions and advance warnings. See, the first priority of the people who attend to a vehicle response is not bother about the traffic pile as it appears, but then he will be first looking at how to save lives, get the injured to the hospital and things like that. The techniques, then the traffic management in that location becomes a bit of a problem. But from the control room, you can actually use variable meteor science, radio transmission, and impersonal data, like your Google Maps and things like that, where you have your navigation services. Those internet and online services, they can be actually advised about the accident, which can actually detract move people away from the accident site or give alternate routes and set up other available information dispensing. This is a process which is continued, and they have to keep till the traffic flow returns to normal. We find the variable message signs on Indian roads, especially most of them always show wear your helmet, put your badge, and don't drink and drive, and things like that. This is actually misuse and making the value of the system so low. When you drive in European or American roads, if the variable message sign is blank, means everything is good and it is a Sunday. You can drive fast. Whenever there is a message on the variable message sign, that should be so important to the road user to read and take an immediate decision within the next few moments. Any information that you put on the radio, on the roadside, the blinking and the picture and video and everything is only a distraction and is an invitation for accidents. So if you are using variable message signs, better make sure they have some relevant data to the driver. And then it is used as a proper. Otherwise, the whole utility of the system is downgraded. And this information has to keep getting updated as things move. One more, if you have, when you open up alternate routes, the messages can change. You can take the side road and join at that junction and things like that. And this should continue so that we have a. Now, what would be the incident response? You have appropriate the patrol. You have the normal patrol of the operator. Multiple agencies. So and fire control ambulances are sourced from the nearest available. Most of these DOTs, they set a target time before which they reach the first responder to arrive and requisition other resources. And you're talking about first responder, it is a very, very important position. First responder is ideally, as I'm saying, a fireman and a medico and a police all rolled into one. If you look at websites of different DOTs of US, you find regular courses for the first responders. And unless you do a refresher course and update your this thing, you cannot do that. A first responder has to first do the assessment, confirmation of that and requisition that. And he has to, as a fireman, he has to break open the vehicles and rescue people. He has to be a medico to check the health of the people, see the position, remove them in a way that the body is, the neck and spinal cord, etc., are not injured during the extraction process. Do CPR if it is required. Provide the first line of, medication, painkillers, and that kind of thing. And of course, all these accidents have a legal angle. And so the training on fire rescue, paramedical, medical training, and also limited training on the legal aspects of accidents is to be available to a first responder. And the first responder is a person who is going to interact with the victim at the worst moment in his life, which is actually a defining moment where there is a death and life situation for the individual. So the best he is, the best for the individual and the society and the capability for responding. So this is a very important thing. But as far as I've seen in India, there is no such training ever conducted for a first responder, especially in the road network. We have separate things for fire services. We have separate things for police, and then we have disaster recovery. Because in India they have already set up a very good disaster recovery system. I think as a sub to that, Government of India should actively consider making TIM, traffic incident management, part of the disaster recovery processes, where this could be as a drill. All emergency vehicles nowadays are fixed with AVLS, GPS connections, and their locations are pretty easily, identified. And the most important thing is now what happens is if we have all these things are happening in timing. From the beginning of this session to now, we have passed 30 minutes. But whatever we discussed has happened in 3-4 minutes, or maximum 5 minutes. But then at the site, what happens? They accurately assess the incident situation and then establish the priorities. Who can be saved and who cannot be saved? Your priority will be to remove a patient who is a victim who is alive and under the debris or a car, under the car or whatever, than somebody who is, verified dead. So, and also the traffic, and notify and coordinate with supporting agencies. The moment, the vehicles are coming, the patient, is pushed into the removed properly with the proper neck support and spinal support. If there is damages on the body, broken bones and things like that, they're put into a proper, and put into an ambulance. And then the ambulance and inform the nearest hospital and doctor to expect a patient with brain, hemorrhage or broken limbs or, spinal problem, and, also advise them what kind of medicines and, standby options and first aid you already given, and maintain clear communication with all the responders involved. The objective is to ensure safety of the crash victims, motorists, and of course the responders. Responders, I believe there were as per one study which I happened to go through, there were more first responders of the road ITM who died due to at work than fire people in some DOT, in some district, some state in US. 40% more or something is the number. So responder safety is also very well, and the responders should have their helmets and their protective gear, and also retroreflective jackets and all that, with cap and gloves and all the kind of things where they can minimize any kind of probable accident. And the things has to get coordinated between the accident of responders, and of course minimizing impacts of the incidents in the transport system by making sure that there is somebody stopping the vehicles and letting people go, and also open up additional lanes and improve intra-agency communication and cooperation. This bureaucratic angle works down, it makes a lot of things possible for India and the kind of environment and social systems like we have here. We have to make sure that there is these departments are not working at cross purpose. The police and fire and highway departments, they work in tandem so that overall good is achieved, optimize use of resources. So in this manner, there is a unified command with clear responsibility and order that has to be fixed at the site. If somebody says, I'm doing this, but normally the senior most man, the first responder or the captain of the the emergency response team will automatically take the leadership role and guide. Even the police force will have to listen to him at that moment of accident. Then what you have to do is that you have to make the equipments are very good. Whatever you have, unless you have the right kind of equipment, you can't do anything. Towards the end of this is one of the first things to get. Government of India have actually started addressing this particular thing, but it's and you are the people that who will have to confirm that these things exist in your own networks and with your operators. I'll come to that towards the end of this chapter. Rescue operations, common another one very important method is let there be a special frequency available to handle incident management. The moment an incident management is reported, all the frequency, and your fire department, police department, highway department, and medical people, everybody is on the same frequency, and everybody can hear each other, so that there is absolutely no communication gap. And we have, if there is a probability of fire, we have dehydrants for power and medical equipment required. Even we will see the details of them, and you should have good structures with automatic crane and spring movement. Of course, you can't say an accidents usually take place when there is it is a little dark. At that time, what happens is that you need light and you need extra batteries to handle them with. Special technology solutions like smart track, life link, etc., to network with expert doctors via video calls. This is something which is far away as far as we are concerned, but I think we should have them in India. And see, these two softwares, SmartTrack and LifeLink, are packages to handle the whole incident management. And what happens is that you can run it on your iPhone or your smartphone or your laptop, and it connects up the different groups. The smart link for life link, for example, it automatically takes a video feeds of the location and send it to the nearest hospital where the doctors or experts are available. They are available on the video call, and they will actually instruct the site personnel how to handle the situation better. So these kind of things are not operational in India yet, but I think it will not take much time, because when it comes to this kind of technology solutions, Indian solutions are always better. The most important is the multi-agency coordination. It has to be a pre-designed SOP which is available to everybody, and everybody is trained on that multiple times. One have to conduct drills, dry runs, to make sure the organization and people involved in that work in very well coordination to achieve the result. Parking of the vehicles at the side. See, suppose many places this happens when you unplanned and untrained people do it. The first guy comes and he parks the vehicle right next to the incident. The next guy comes, park next to it, and no trouble, the whole place get jammed. So whenever a trained responder comes to that place, he will make sure he is parking his vehicle appropriately, so that later ambulance to carry the patient or a fire truck or that has to come in are not obstructed in any way, so that there is ease of operation. These are all primary things, very apparently silly things, but these are the mistakes which will people keep on making. Then there is called this incident command system. Based on this incident command system is made in line with your military or NASCAR crew. You have seen videos of a NASCAR crew changing the tires of a car during a race. Sorry. The car comes to the stop pit, and in a manner of 30 to 40 seconds, they are removing all the four wheels, putting new ones, tightening them, checking them, and getting them ready. This is not possible without everybody assigned a very clear duty, and there is a proper sequence allotted, and everybody does their job like a clockwork. And this command system, incident command system, also has to be designed in the same manner. It provides a planned and organized and definitive way for management of the incidents. And then the thing is, it is expandable and flexible, and clearly designates one person as the incident commander. In this kind, when I say expandable and this thing, you have a system, you have two ambulances, we have one ambulance and so much of paramedics in that. Add one more, you have modules, you have one fire engine, one fire engine, you have requisition, another fire engine from the nearest, second nearest this thing, they are also going to come. So the modules of these things can keep getting added up, and the management and flexibility, management have a flexibility of using additional resources. A set of guidelines has to be there for each of the responder to understand, and his roles and responsibilities, and coordinate with them. What is he supposed to do? What is he supposed not to do? The moment his allotted work is over, he has to leave the site without any emotions or attached to knowing what happened further or anything like that. Like ambulance, people take a patient and get them into the hospital. The moment the pass the gate, they walk back, and they have nothing more to do. It is similar here. The moment your work is over at the site, you just vanish so that others have convenience to work. How to make sure that we have a command system and make it work? One is use the common terminology. There are a lot of codes you can see them using, but these codes has to be made available everybody. And I said modular organization. You can keep on adding additional resources and people into the system without damaging the other structure. And then you have an integrated, communication system where, as I mentioned earlier, we have switched everybody to switch into a particular channel on the radio so that everybody is listening. And then unified command structure. There is a clear leader and there are clear people who want to do. And then there is a consolidated action plans. Nothing is left half done or incomplete. Everything is come to a consolidation and and then there is a manageable span of control. One person cannot be allotted to give job to control so many actions or so many people more than what his span of control allows him to do. So then if you are giving him more job than what he can do, then there will be fissures in the operation. There is a comprehensive resource management. There is no point in wasting resources or not having resources that you actually need. So there has to be a proper system in which the resources are managed in a very proper manner. This is another major section, traffic management during an incident. Though not the primary concern of the responders, traffic management should be given some consideration to avoid unnecessary delays in the movement of the traffic. And you also have this cost of delays are huge. The time cost of so many pollution in the area. And of course, not to speak of secondary collision, which will actually, change the dimension of the incident in exponential proportions. What are the techniques for traffic management? Normally, the scene of the accident is immediately made into a traffic control point. That is made a traffic control point. And then you have an appropriate person from the police force who is trained in traffic management, a constable or an officer who knows how to actually handle the traffic. And then we use manage the roadway space, available roadway space. If you can, there are some spillage or debris in one lane or two lanes, we can actually just sweep them around and move them into one part and make one lane available. It's actually going to make wonders for the dissemination of the traffic from that point. And then, the another major important thing in traffic management is using your ITS. The ITS system that you have should be able to do a lot many things where you are, hundreds of people and hundreds of vehicles pressed into service cannot do. This is where the importance of ITS comes. I have a video, as I have a presentation slide downstream in which I will show you how this is actually done. Using traffic control devices like RAM meters and line control signs and traffic signals, how we can actually change and handle the traffic management. And other thing is you have to evaluate and designate alternate routes and develop them by making them they are clean and the roads, the additional traffic or avoidable traffic in those roads are stopped and major highway is allowed to go through that. The most important thing, one of the most important thing is that long-term conflict incident duration is reduced to the minimum. If an incident happened, from the point of happening the incident, when the normalcy have returned. This shows how efficient is your management. So this is one important factor which people have to consider. Now, the last step is of the incidents is clearing of the incident. How do you clear an incident? Once there has to be, we often find, especially on Indian roads, you you used to see, I mean, of late they are very less, but once upon a time, if an accident happens to a vehicle and that vehicle is described as has to be abandoned by the insurance agent or anybody with the abandoned. It lies in the same location on the side of the road for years to come. Am I right? All of you have seen on the right side of the road there will be wind. But on highways you can't have this luxury or stupidity. You have to involve recovery vans, vehicles and broken down vehicles and remove all the vehicles from that and recover the vehicles and site clear the contract. There has to be, for every road section, there has to be a recovery team available on call, well contracted. The moment you ask them, they should reach the site in so many minutes with so much of equipment and trained personnel. That kind of contracts has to be compulsory. If they are not, it is impossible for the road company to own all these facilities because their usage is very low, and you cannot find it everywhere. But not when it comes to the first responding teams. Removal of truck cargo and other traggers. See, this hazardous material cargos, they have created real havoc. These huge multi-axle, vehicles which carry hazardous cargo, including even there were incidences even when radioactive material leaked out during accidents, which created big problems. The issue is that you can't even go there without the proper, protection gear, and also, petroleum and inflammable articles, other hazardous chemicals, which will actually be injurious and even deadly to humans. So that has to be handled. You have to be very careful in handling up. Clearing up the road surface of oil splits and glass pieces. And the last point is the accident investigations. The accident investigations has to be conducted in such a way that whatever available data is available from beginning to end of the road are all documented and available to the highway police for further action. But I have found in India, most of this highway police, the moment I have experienced it during 2004-5, when this Mumbai-Pune Expressway was being constructed, I was responsible for implementing a lot of these systems on that highway, including emergency telephone, CCTV, channel control, and polling, and that kind of things. Actually, once the road is opened and then things were opening, they are pressed into some two large vans fitted with all emergency handling equipment and also a doctor on call. There was a doctor on that. One of our crews had an accident on that road, and nobody died fortunately, but part of them was brought into Bombay and part was to Pune that day. And when I got to that, and I came to the office and I came to know about it, and then I went, and it was happened in the afternoon, late afternoon. So I was actually somewhere at South Bombay, and I rushed into the hospital in Bombay, and I saw the people who are there. And the next day, there were some people in Pune who were supposed to be more victims. So I was actually tired because of that overnight. So I asked a driver to drive me to Pune. That driver caused an accident, and I was actually hit by another car, and I was declared non-responsive. And fortunately, this guy responded. I don't know how much of you can see this. This car is a reminder of that, where I have, bled severely from this. And that recovery vehicle actually, they have kept it like this and stitched it so hard without even any, anesthesia. It was very painful, but of course, I saved my life. So, it is a response to an accident, typical, as a response to an incident. Now, let us see how actually this works. This is a video of maybe 8-10 years old from Brisbane. I was working in a company there that time by name I was on some projects, and those people, they run the whole of Brisbane City and highways and management. It's a government of Queensland government company called Transmax. They are also promoting a lot of emergency systems. And that is one of the good companies from Australia with whom I had working off and on. I used to work with them for around 6 years. Not in India, of course, but in Middle East and Australia, some projects. Now, in this thing, what happens is that there is a fire detected at one particular intersection, at Wollongabba. And when the fire is detected, what happens in the first? The next step is the verification. The junction is actually the nearest camera was looked at. And then they see, yes, there is a fire happening there. They are able to see it's verified. And then it is the route graph of that M1 was pushed out. And for at different meters, they have the traffic flows and things like that. And the data of the ITS data from all this ITS equipment was evaluated. And then it found that, yes, there is probably a problem. But, suppose now, what to do the next? The first thing what you have to do is that you already have traffic actually piling up here. So the entry to that location is locked, closed first. The entry to that location is closed first, and then people were, this is what happens. They close the junction, and the next, these are the variable message signs that goes in all the people where this particular thing is working. All the traffic which will get affected of this particular thing are notified using VMS. Mind you, each VMS have the appropriate and the right message for them so that they do not make any mistake in that. Here they say here is the first example. Here it clearly says ahead of people coming here, the freeway is closed. Take the next exit. So people normally take the next exits. The junction to this, and then here is some trailing traffic. Then then trailing movements into the highway are closed. They are asked to take alternative routes in that event. And then at the end of the road, ramp meters on that locations are also organized in such a way that they are made to behave separately. Once this is done, what is actually happening in the next step is the traffic signal system actually reroutes the traffic. Now, here you can see what happens. The traffic coming here is automatically asked to turn left. And this left-hand traffic, though the road is not as good as the highway, they are giving a signal green corridor going under this, cutting across the incident portion and joining the highway at a later end. In this way, the whole traffic is managed. Now, all this I talked, happened much before I finished the first sentence. So, so that way we have ITS technologies actually using, incident management in a very, very effective way. But I have tried to get something similar for, similar, incident to explain to you from Indian environment. And I'm told I have to wait. So let us see that we don't have to wait much more for this. So now we look at then what is happening in Indian scenario. What we saw was an Australian incident, and what will happen in India. Though this is an area which is to mature. There is no maturity in this level, and the right steps are taken in that direction. For example, by accident or whatever, the first lecture we have in this operations and maintenance of the highways is on incidents management of the highways. That itself shows the wind is coming favorable. So let us see the concept of establishing in India. This is what is happening. The concept of establishing a national control room is not even in the shape or picture, even though people like me are talking about for many years in the control rooms and all that. And then, our respect for data. A few years back, I asked the chief of road safety in NHI that how many people died on NHI roads last year. And he didn't have a count. And you ask the NHI, brass, what is your traffic at the moment in different roads? They have no clue. See, this is because, the connectivity is not done. NHI as an organization has to think from, and not from the point of looking at things as a, sorry, I disturbed. From that point, and then, we, at the moment, NHI as an organization doesn't have a soul. It have one or two of this, 2-3 of the service officers sitting at the helm who have limited or limited exposure to technologies and things like that, and we have engineers and others coming on on a deputation basis from different PWDs and all that. All of them come with their own luggages of working and system and this thing. And NHA as an organization, I think even recently there used to be a GM, DGM level in electronics and IT and all. I think recently I was checking who it is, and I found those posts no longer exist. I don't know, they are not filled probably, but then they have very less respect for data collection and handling them. But then these things are going to drive them. Like there are no efforts so far to coordinate the functioning of this. In India, if you wanted to set up a first responder team, if you want to train them, you have to send them overseas. And in overseas, they have a different kind of equipment and things and strategies and method of doing things, which will not help us here. The trauma care centers, which are coming up in many places, which are highly funded, has to have a confederation of them and then start training their people. Today, they are all equaling. Synergy is lacking, which each contractor doing things on their own little way. If all the contractors are saying that, you should have, like ministry is now saying, that you should have so many courses from IIT for your, even as a safety auditor. Similarly, the first responders and maintenance and operations people available, there has to be a number of people who have done a number of courses and certified for, this kind of stuff. And, as I was mentioning earlier, probably, when you go, each of the DOTs, whether in Minnesota or Los Angeles, any county, even small counties, they are all having their own training courses for first responders. They combine it with other disaster handling agencies. But in India, we are yet to start anything like that. What we have in India, there is no training centers for the first responders yet. But then there is a Bible for NHI roads, 6-lane, and 4-lane construction manual, whatever that is. They're published by Marth. And, they have made some specifications which are interesting and is in the right direction, I should suppose. But the process, and definitions are still lacking. It is just talking about what you have. In the next few slides, I have some pages from those documents. Just to make sure that, you are aware. If you are looking at the 6-lane manual, you will find this in a page. You should have, what should be the this is a normal patrol vehicle. What are the things you should have in a patrol vehicle? It says there should be AVLS. There should be, two-way radio device that even if the mobiles are not working, radios has to work. there should be a public address system to announce at the amplifier and other things, loudspeakers, and the accident scene if they need, and definitely one cellular phone. And general surveillance, equipment like, digital camera, high torch lights, safety jackets and gumboots and helmets, and for every attendant it should be there. Rain suits, liquid containers of petrol, diesel, water, and rope and minimum, things, whistles and hand signals. And and then it should also contain first level vehicle restriction and repairing equipment, hydraulic jacks, animal, if they are there, handling them, and tire inflator, starters, and not tow bars for towing lines, and normal mechanical kit with hammer, pliers, and cutters, and wrench, and all that kind of stuff. And also, this is a vehicle repairing equipment, and it also contains extraction and first aid equipment, portable electric windshield cutter operated battery, and hydraulic electric thing, and these are the cervical and and these are the other things. When you actually do the traffic management, you should have fire extinguishers, powders, dry, asbestos and rubber gloves or whatever. All the items that you should find in a standard patrol vehicle is listed very clearly as per Indian specifications. Now, it have, retro reflective signages, but at least that is one thing I find, till recent years, nobody used to wear even the retroreflective signs on Indian highways. But now the things have changed, people started wearing them, and that is a good omen. And then you have surveillance in charge. You should have one person is to be there as a main coordinator from the control room, similar to the 911 operator, as I was mentioning earlier. The highway surveillance should be appointed per shift per vehicle, one of them. And they should have a relevant experience and should have create a logbook. You should be trained, should be trained on vehicles and maintenance policies, radio communication, public relations, defensive driving, public relations, customer service, maintenance of traffic. Yeah, similarly, what I said, all rolled into one kind of training. They are not supposed to be experts, but they should be. They should not be making blunders because they don't know. That is the key for training. And then they also should know the, kind of vehicle recovery procedures and all that. And then the EMTs, electromechanical, basic qualification of EMT, there should be a diploma in EMT. Then the qualifications of the people who are employed there all are very clearly said. Employee appointed should undergo at least one training duration 1 month for the, this kind of things. I would actually wanted to bet if out of the thousands of vehicles which is flying on Indian roads, how many actually have this? Not on the day one, say day, 6 months down. On the 180th day from putting into service, or after a year from putting into service, if any of the patrol vehicles in India can confirm that they actually do this, I would be pleased to award them with a cash award. Yes. And all the students, all the people who are here are eligible for recommendation. Now, there is also another thing that, this particular, document also goes and talks about very much in detail about the emergency medical van. It is specifying that each van should be equipped with what all kind of things, right in exact detail of the capacities, the power management, and it should have two serious patients can get into one vehicle at a time, and it have, minimum kind of equipment. Some salient portions I felt bit are here. It should contain all the listed sanitary medical equipment and all that. Rescue following 2 automatic stretchers, automatic loading stretchers, the crane stretchers which you can put there, and that will mattress, and so that the minimum damage happens to spinal injuries and things like that. Long spinal board, and head immobilizer. One of the first things I have seen internationally in these practices is that the moment the guy goes, they put the head immobilizer. They put a kind of a white thing around the neck so that your spinal cord is fully protected. But in India, we don't care. The guy will turn it like this. These kind of things. These are all well thought out things, and which are all planned for. And how many are we doing is the thing. The long spinal board with the head of immobilizer, securing straps and all that. Set of fractures and splints made out of multiple lecture and KID extrication device. All this kind of things. Cycle collar for kids and adults. You see, even for children, they wanted a separate shape. And even, trachea opening, ventilation panels, they are, high density polyethylene and foam padding and should X-ray loose in X-ray. And you see the list of equipment, oxygen cylinders, portable oxygen cylinders, all these kind of things are, these are all fine, even to oximeters, stethoscopes, and even blood sugar detection, all these kind of things are all provided for. But, you go and look at any of the emergency medical service vans posted on our highways, and again, my offer stands. I'll be willing to provide a cash award to any vehicle these members are noticing and which can be recommended for. And the manpower of the ambulance. You should have. The ambulance people. The first aid becomes the most important thing in actually securing the person from explaining, getting into more trouble. They need at least 2 years, experience. The first aid and life saving, emergency operation, bleeding control, spinal immobilization, oxygen therapy, defibrillation, medicine. Not to talk about fundamental things like, post, procedures and things like that. And, on training on handling life-saving equipment and basic training in extraction, and also this kind of thing, there has to be paramedics on this, and, actually I was saved because there was a doctor on board that day. They just started, and that was in 2004, I think. At that time, these documents are not there and there are no. So they bought two vans and posted it at the 2 locations on the Mumbai-Pune Expressway. It was a big truck, and then they didn't know what all things to put in that. So they had a doctor and switches, so that was the story. And now we should recognize the point is Indian road operators and public and government and other stakeholders and all these road safety operators and all that should recognize TIM as an important topic. And we should start initiating steps for standardization of these processes, organizing training programs, and also publish incident events and their handling. So now actually I happen to speak to this particular topic is the first time, I think in India it is the first time a lecture is given on this particular topic of traffic incident management. So I talked to many of my old friends and currently practitioners of the road systems, and I asked them whether you can, share me a incident event documentation, either prepared as part of your ISO processes or internal quality processes, or plain simple documentation of activities. I couldn't get hold of anything. And there is actually nobody, connect the different ends and then connect it up. So let us hope that you are the first set of people who have got sensitized on the topic, and we are going to go ahead and make better things future. All right, that is about incident management. And now we go to ITS.
Sir, shall I break for 15 minutes, sir?
I think that is the right time. My timing is perfect. It is 11:15, and the
11:30, sir.
the host feels that I have bored everybody and I should be giving you 15 minutes break. I wish you a 15-minute good break, and we will meet 11:30.
Yes, sir, 11:30, sir.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Welcome back, everybody. Hope you all had some break and cleared your one. Yes.
Yeah, visible, sir.
All well?
Yes, sir, visible.
Okay, now we will talk about ITS. ITS, everybody know what is ITS. Intelligent Transport Systems. There are many kind of definitions. ITS handbook I saw some time back have described some 30, 36 types of definitions. But I would like to consider it as IT in transportation. It is about providing information to motorists and aid traffic management, resulting in smarter use of road networks and do with the knowledge management. And this is the most cost-effective tool available to traffic managers as of now. Now, why intelligent transport systems? Now, consider a road near a city or a highway or something, which is actually feeding some urban center or something like. Much before the rush hour, say morning 7 o'clock, if you look at the traffic, you will find vehicles are going at say 75 kilometers per hour. And we have a clearance of 1700 vehicles going per hour. And as the traffic builds up, just before the rush hours, the speed comes down to 55 kilometers per hour. And the vehicle flow becomes 2400 vehicles per hour. And then the peak hour sets in. In the peak hour, what happens? The drop of speed to 35 kilometers per hour. And you will find the number of vehicles going is same as 1700 vehicles per hour. Now, what is the situation? What are you seeing here? The same volume of traffic, and a completely different situation. What has changed here? The road is the same, the capacity is the same, the vehicles are the same. And then why did we come to a situation where the speeds have dropped to 35 kilometers and the vehicles passing, the vehicle capacity or the throughput also comes down to 1700 vehicles per hour. Nothing has changed. So why, but a completely different situation. This is a famous experiment. I think maybe few of you are already exposed to this experiment. This is talking about a procedure. This is a Washington DOT experiment. They are taking 1 liter of rice and 2 liters of rice and 2 funnels, which are identical. And you have a professor here and his student probably, and somebody who is observing it. They have these 2 kind of funnels. The professor is actually closed the orifice, closed the exit point of the funnel, and filled his funnel with 1 kilo of rice. So when it is full, and then what happens? It start, it shows the rice start going out of this. And when you time the first method, it came up to I think it came up to some 40 seconds or something in this particular experiment, where it took 40 seconds after the funnel bottom is closed and then this is left to go. In the second one, this teacher, this student or this lady is being asked to pour the rice into the funnel in such a way that there are no, rice getting stuck here. As and when they pour, it is going off. So in the second method, the time was found to be only almost half. It came to around 23 seconds or something like that instead of the 40. You can actually watch this in the YouTube and with more information on this. That is a link I have provided. Now, what has happened here? When there is a breakdown, when there is a congestion, this is actually a Vic Roads pilot. Victoria Roads is a state government road organization of state of Victoria in Australia. This was an award-winning ramp metering algorithm which they have developed and is being used by many people. It is available in the public. But when the breakdown happened, this is how the traffic came to see. The occupancy has gone up to 60%. And this, flow of vehicles, which kept on growing when of 2,500, it stopped there and it didn't go further. And instead of the level of service, the speed started coming down. When we introduced a ramp metering, this is similar to that lady operator pouring the rice directly into the funnel. The ramp meter is able to provide the traffic flow, go unhindered by controlling them upstream, and the breakdown didn't happen. The vehicles kept on doing it the same way. Here, what you see is the average flow increased by 8%. These are documented, and average travel speed increased to 34.9%. And more importantly, the delay decreased by 65.3%. This is what ITS did in an environment which was otherwise unhelpful. So what you are doing here is ITS, when you talk about its driver information system, its access control, its signal coordination and synchronization, open road tolling, there are variable speed limits, from the control room. There are automated fast responses to incidents, the subject we just covered in detail, and a host of other applicable ITS tools. All of them in an integrated manner make it a proper ITS system. Now we will go into the applications. What are the ITS applications? ITS applications, first and foremost, is to improve the traffic flow, reduce the congestion. What really happens is that the thing is if the road capacities or intersection capacities reach a breaking point, and an ITS system can increase the capacity of the network minimum by 10%. Meaning 10% more vehicles will go on the same road, enjoying the same level of service. The systems can quickly detect incidents and respond to them effectively so that the traffic blockades are avoided. ITS applications can improve air quality and reduce pollution. Earlier ITS applications always used to take the objective function as the speed and the number of stops and delays of the vehicles. Nowadays, the inputs into the ITS system also include environmental sensors like sound detectors, noise level identification, the particulate matter in the vehicle, the level of pollution. These data forms an input to the ITS algorithm. And if one particular road we find the pollution has reached at a particular level, the traffic to that particular area is reduced by the system so that the air quality improves. And it can minimize the travel delays, improve the safety by advance warning, minimize impact on the environment, and they largely contribute to overall safety of the road. The benefits, all of you may be knowing, it has the most important thing about ITS is its management capability, is to measure what is happening. See, anything that you wanted to manage has to be measured. If you are looking at the traffic flows, you cannot say the traffic flow has improved or reduced without actually measuring the traffic flow before and now. ITS systems allow you to measure to meet the safety, accessibility, and mobility needs. It optimizes the infrastructure utilization with a range of convenient and affordable transport options. Sorry, improve the service levels by managing the congestions and incidents. Contribute to public and environmental health by limiting pollution and noise. It supports economy by efficient transportation of goods and freight. It can implement transport policies. It can implement demand management or public transport priority. These things can be or transport policies which can be implemented by the system. Now, this is the classic version of the urban ITS. The urban ITS, you have a traffic control center in the middle, and then you have an urban traffic control system. This is the key where you have your signals and all your traffic measurement devices, intersection controllers, intersection data collection systems, midstream data collection system, all comes in the urban traffic. Then you have a parking management system connected to this to make sure vehicles are given to the right park. Then you have the important thing called variable message signs. The variable message signs are used, I have shown you the use earlier, to warn the road users with information that would help them to make an immediate decision in the next few seconds. Then you have video processing and enforcement, both for incident management and enforcement they are used. Then you have automatic fare collection systems in the public transports. If the fire collected is more, that means there are more people traveling in them. So the priority is there for them. And then public transport. In the public transport systems, many of the ITS systems will provide priority to public transport. But the GPS system connected in the public transport tells the control room, I am approaching that particular junction in maybe, 65 seconds or 80 seconds. And what the system does is, if possible, the system will extend the green time available in that. If the green is running on that particular link, the public transport system will increase it for a few seconds so that the public transport is able to go through. Similarly, open a red to a green when the public transport arrives, depending upon the priority that you have fixed onto them. And of course, the road pricing. We'll talk about that also in both. Whereas the interurban, that is highways, they have a similar thing, but you can see there is a lot of difference. There is no UTC here, urban traffic control system here. You have a traffic control and surveillance system, the central office. And then this system, you have emergency telephone systems connected to this. You have CCTV system for surveillance, variable message signs, all controlled by this, the route guidance system, driver information system, automatic incident detection, and weather monitoring, and automatic toll collection. You see, these are a separate set of subsystems that forms an interurban, a highway traffic control from a urban traffic control system. You see, in the urban traffic control system, you have all these equipment working 100% all the time. The urban system keep collecting the data, making arrangements, changes in the traffic flow, and adjusting the traffic signal timings, parking measurements, video processing, all these things go in as a standard. Whereas in this system, except your toll collection, everything else is a standby system. It comes to action only if there is something unnatural or not expected happens. An emergency telephone system, it is lying waiting for an emergency to happen and somebody to push the button. So the level of readiness and checking of the system has to be much more, because you should not let any of the system fail at the time of requirement. The CCTV system also keep on doing all these things, are actually sleeping, but in right stage of awakeness. Anytime they can be put into action. Okay, except the toll system, which keep working. Now let us look at the technology of traffic control and how that have evolved. Now imagine a small junction that has come up near your neighborhood. Initially, the 4 roads are there, and traffic, they just go because there is no control. They manage themselves. Then you find sometime in the evening and morning, it gets a bit crowded. Then a policeman will come, or a traffic warden will come in the middle of the road, and will start manually stopping the traffic from going to one direction to the other. Then you have the next step, signal control. You are putting an automatic signal onto the place. This automatic signal will have more timings during peak hours for the peak traffic, and on off-peak hours, it will get into low cycle time and start clearing vehicle from each direction quickly. And in the night, maybe they will just go to flash. And the next one is coordinated control. If you have 2 signals at 2 nearby intersections, the output of one junction becomes the input of the other. If you are able to manage that, that is called coordination. So this is the next step of technology. And then we got the intelligent response. In the intelligent response, what happens is there is loops or detectors in the system, which are collecting data on traffic flows in a continuous online manner, and feeds that data into the information. And in the intersection, there are supposed to be 2 levels of control. One is called a tactical control, the other is called a strategic control. The tactical control, the intersection controller takes a decision to extend the green or to open one particular thing earlier, or because the other traffic is lessened out, or even give priority to somebody. That is a tactical decision. And then there is another decision taken by the central control room, say, I want the nearby controller have changed because of high traffic flow in some direction. It has changed the cycle length from 90 seconds to 100 seconds. So all the signals which are coordinating with that particular controller, I mean, they're called married systems. I'll come to that. And they all change from a strategy from the central point. And the next level is called area traffic control, computer controlled UTC. In other words, in this, what happens is the controllers, are all connected to a central control room. And they all data comes into the central control point, and from there, each signal is advised every second whether to continue the current state or next to go to the next stage. And the next one, in here also, you don't find anything other than traffic signals and traffic detection by the at signals and traffic lights. The next level is ITS control, where we press in a lot of host of other subsystems like variable messages and public transport priorities and communication control systems which are used by transport agencies to have control. If all the systems that come up with information, even the taxi aggregators, if they share the information with the traffic control room, it can provide you a good travel time survey, travel time data, so that people know of the things. Now, ATC stands for automatic traffic control. This is also called UTC because they start mixing up with air traffic control. So the first ones were offline, meaning every controller have data, and from the central point, data is downloaded to each of the traffic controllers that you will behave this way, and the next controller is said you will behave this way, based on a common reference level. It can be the time of the day. All the clocks have the same. All the systems have the same clock to the millisecond, or it can be a trigger from one location. So, for master controller, a designated master controller sends a communication, and it goes into everybody, and then it starts. That's the starting point again. So you start a starting point and run a new cycle. And in these kind of systems, there is no much of a detection, and there is not much of a communication happening, because and then there is very less computing. And then came the online systems like Scoot, SCAT, Ithaca, TAS, Utopia, and things like that. Scoot is split cycle offset optimization technique. Is an online version of Transit, a very famous traffic optimization software developed and licensed by TRL London to a few companies in US, the UK, who have developed their own UTC functions around the Scoot kernel. SCAT is a software developed by Australia, NSW Roads, and that is signal coordinated adaptive technique, something like that. Is the SCAT. And Ithaca is a system which was developed by a company in Spain, which is actually a married version of Scoot and SCAT principles. The company which developed that have now changed the name and thing. Now I think it was a Spanish company earlier, and now I think it is. They have been bought by multiple people, and I think at the moment they are with that American conglomerate. I'll tell you the name of course of time. I had opportunity to work with Scoot and SCAT and Ithaca. TAS is a system, traffic activated and simulation service. This is largely a Siemens proprietary product. found extensively in Germany and other European cities, and even in some Middle East and other places. Before Siemens acquired a company in UK, which was called which was a license holder of Scoot, and now it is called Siemens UK Limited. And I think then TAS is pushed backwards and Scoot has come as their main. Utopia is a system by a small company in Italy, which was again taken over and now modified. Now Utopia's current version is one of the largest selling softwares in Europe and other places, supported by Sarco. In India, Scoot was implemented in Delhi in 1998-99. I was responsible for that implementation. We have people trained in UK to implement the system. Around Connaught Place and around, we have selected some 100 junctions, put loop detectors at every junction, and started having a good system working. And that system worked for 11 years. And in 2010, Delhi was supposed to implement a large ITS system for the Commonwealth Games. And in that pretext, they switched off that system and a new system never came up. And it is 13 years down the line and we still don't have a new system in place. Delhi have one of the oldest technology systems working in the world. Whereas other cities have changed into smart cities and have some rudimentary type of, traffic control systems, not really smart ones. So except this Ithaca in Bombay, I don't think there is any other real internationally valid system working in India at the moment. In Delhi, Bombay also, I have only installed that. My team only installed that in 2009-10. It is 13 years old and now it is in the process of being replaced. But it's still working. I think they are covering some 256 junctions. And they have contributed to road safety in a substantial way. I wanted to give you a small idea of a traditional system. In that you have a traffic controller. This traffic controller have a street equipment, signals, and it have a outstation transmission unit and integrated front-end, processor, and it have the outstation transmission of the communication, and it have detectors based on that. The detector data goes through the transmission system, which used to be a very cumbersome process those days. Go to the central server, and the central server will have video and display and printers and all, and the control panel. And that will give information back to the signals. Data is collected from here, it goes here, and again, the information, the instruction will come from here, and then will go to the signal line. I will just cover quickly the algorithm behind Scoot, one of the most successful traffic optimization online systems. I want you to concentrate and understand this. It is a very small thing. Take one cycle of traffic. One cycle of traffic is the traffic from at one point in the traffic to the next point where the same point is reached. So this figure approximately says from this intersection, the traffic travels from this intersection to this intersection, and this is another intersection. So what it does is all the exiting traffic from this intersection towards this link is measured using a loop here. This data is sent into the control room, and in the control room, this data is collected in the first 2 seconds. This is match in the next few seconds, 3 seconds, and like this, the traffic keep building up. The exit from here is going this way. It is going. It will start building up like that, and then it goes like this. And then maybe this signal have stopped, and they have opened some left traffic or something like that, and then traffic comes down slowly and during this traffic. Now, when this is happening at the control room, at the central computer, a model is formed of the queue that will form in the succeeding junction, depending upon the traffic left the preceding junction towards this junction. This is the queue that it is going to create. And what happens is, when the maximum traffic of this come to the next intersection, they are given a freeway. They are given a free way go through this green. When this happens, mind you, this is a queue formed here. Just before the major traffic approaches this junction, this green is opened for this particular link. And in the next few seconds, the queue start melting away. These vehicles which are there from the previous cycle, they keep going, and the major traffic which is coming here, without making this queue huge like this, it dissipates, and there will be some small change in the traffic flow. But then majority of the vehicles from the 30th percentile onwards able to go without changing their gear through the intersection. I hope everybody followed this. This is a very simple explanation. Now imagine this intersection have one link you are talked about. Similarly, this particular intersection have another 8 links coming from every intersection on the 4 sides. So you have to have all these links do the same kind of thing. At each link, you have to build up the flow. And then after some iterations of working, the computer system is able to make and get into a rhythm in which the traffic is moving quite well in the area. There are no queues formed abnormally in every intersection. Before the queues are formed at every link, it is opening and going. And you can actually view this in the intersections which they work. We have done it in Delhi, we have done it in Bombay, in many places. It is perfectly a feasible system. I'm not spending much time on the other this thing. So, but then what I want to talk about is optimization. The objective functions, what is the priorities on which your computer system will start working to get the system into an area where it is able to provide the best services. Increasingly, additional objective achieves more inclusive overall optimization. Developments in ICT, in Internet and communication technologies, enable to break free from the traditional limitations and provide more action. Now the cloud-based, computing displaced conventional networks. When we have implemented the first coordinated traffic control system for Mumbai, starting with some 60, 70, I think it's 107 junctions altogether in the project. Starting from Mantralaya to airport, you get down at airport on the Western Express Highway, go via Western Express Highway, get into Mahim. There used to be a small road. I'm talking about 90s. And that traffic, we have all the controllers in that line cabled from one end to the other end through physical cable. Today, all that I have to do is that put a SIM card in all of them and they do the communication. I don't have to put a cable. Life is much easier now. And computing is on cloud-based. And current distributed networks are owned and operated by different agencies. So you can have the traffic control center of the best or the road transport organization collect the data and share their information with the traffic control center. And so traffic control center also gives some back relevant information to them that so and so road network is getting busier. And all the stakeholders are access to the data from the domain of the network. Everybody knows, and even the emergency operators like fire engine, they have routes defined, route number A, B, C, D to different parts where they have to go. And the moment they get a call and they are going in direction A, just press the button A. The control room says, yes, I'm taking this particular route, and he will close all the roads and make sure this guy gets a very clean green wave to the point. So the network safety directly contributes to the road safety. That are the safety aspects. And now what happens is that when we did the latest system for Mumbai, we have put that on a fiber optic network, the whole communication backup. And the fiber optic network was provided by MTNL then. None of the others had anything like that. And these networks are resilient, meaning they are self-healing. You mean to say they have multiple rings in the communication. And if there is a cut in one part of the, on the network, the network management system of the network automatically routes the data to nodes affected by that disruption through other channels, other routes. So they are redundant ones, even if it is broken, and they are able to, and they have capability to generate instantaneous alternative plans. Now I wanted to explain the conceptual architecture of a ITS system. This is a simplified version, though it looks complex to you in the first instance. I will get it, structured and provide you this. Imagine the first thing we are bothered about is the measurement services. In the measurement, what are the things? We use traffic detectors, we use vehicle classifiers and PRs, global positioning systems, pedestrian detectors, and multiple things. And these are all done through traffic sensor management. You have different management systems for this. Once you collect all the measurement, and then we go into adjustment. Finally, all the measurements are given, and we wanted to effect some changes in the network. I wanted to change the intersection signal timings, ramp signals, lane signals, boom gates, variable messages, even loudspeakers. These are the adjustment services that will help me to do that. And you have traffic controller management, dynamic signs management, multi-state actuator management, then audio controllers and all that kind of thing. And the next one is evaluation services. This is the aim of the ITS. They actually evaluate all the data which is coming to them. And these are done using algorithms or expert systems or even neural networks or even AI engines now use. Movement, they do all these kind of things, vehicle movement. They have sub vehicle movement demand and capacity. They are predicted, balancing demand and capacity, incident management, route management, ramp management, intersection group. See, for example, you have two intersections on a highway. In the morning, intersection A, intersection B. In the morning, traffic is flowing from A to B, and then it goes into the other one. So here, A and B work as a married unit. They are married. And in the evening, suppose there is another route going from B to C. So the traffic of A is no longer important to B because the traffic flow is on the other direction. Because B is more important, want to know the traffic which is going to come from C for functioning of B. So B get married to, funnily for the SCAT's terminology, it says marriage and divorce. The A and B divorces and B marries C and they get data from each other. Funny. So, but then these are grouping of, intersections so that the relevant data is shared between each of them. And then motorway, public transport priority, real-time passenger information and things like that. And then you have the conceptual architecture in the support services. What are things we are trying to say? Some public rally is taking place, or a concert, or a football match, or a cricket game. So how do we support that? And network models, access control, and management software, sharing of the application management, operations management, even the schedule, things like that. And also this goes to the next, called user services. These are the users. The user get information on map-based, Explorer style, those days. User get information on the radios, data communication. And today now this is shared with, you heard about Google Cities, and you heard about there is one more guy who got into that. Google cities, and one more company is doing that kind of all cities. These are the associate. You have videos. This video management system, a city will have a lot of video systems also used for crime surveillance, which can also provide you data. The tunnels and their SCADA, all these things, they share information. So all these, different concepts, they're all put together and they measure in such a way that if you see the data collection happens here, it goes from the measurement services and it takes data from it goes into this thing, and this data is evaluated from here, and this evaluated data goes up, and then the user services and services are given, and this is the support services. All this come into adjustments. Here, traffic controller management, dynamic sign. So, these things are directly pushing back to the road. The intersection signals, the data came from vehicle detectors, goes into forming intersection signal timings. And the data from ANPR and other things go. Boom gates, pedestrian detectors give that, variable message signs. Environmental sensors will give you, again, signal timing adjustments or closer of roads and things like that. So this is our own conceptual architecture. Now, what is ITS is about the data. Data is about vehicle. This is one key point which I wanted to emphasize. And I want practicing traffic engineers to be better informed on these technologies, and so that they can actually do, everybody know importance of data. The importance of AVCs is just that. ITS system is useless with proper data. This is about collecting different types. ATCC can measure infrastructure being constant. The only variable is a traffic flow parameter. So unless you catch that, measurement of a problem is fundamental to development of any management solution. Otherwise, you will never know what happened. AVCs and spatter measurement in different sections of the road is the basic data input. So I will sort of go through these things a bit quickly now. There are different type of, infrared, detection systems here. You have, pneumatic detectors. Even in India, we use them still. They are useless for India. These are rubber tubes, nailed onto the road and fixed onto them. They are invasive and destructive of the surface. They can classify only 2-3 classes. They cannot, they are designed for lane-wise detection. They are low accuracy. They cannot, detect many classes in the car. For them, for example, auto and a small car is the same, and then a cycle and a motorcycle don't exist. And if you have to measure a big truck, then it cannot measure a small truck because of its sensibility setting is limited. The next one is loops. These are one of the most conventional ones. Again, loop-based. Lane-wise detection. Put a loop, electronic, simple copper cable, 1-2 inches below the ground, connect them into a roadside, and pass a little voltage between them. So they form a kind of a electromotive. You have an electromagnetic field around them, and when a metallic body goes above this, it cuts the flux and creates a EMF on the end of this. And that is taken as a signature of that vehicle, and then it is analyzed. So that is that, and then you have a combination of this. This is one of the longest used very heavily in tolling and things like that. You have a loop, and then you also have some kind of piezoelectric, or some kind of load sensors. Here, they allow you to measure the speed, taking the time and axle passes, one load sensor to the other, and also take the measurement of the size using this. It is very good, but still cannot distinguish a few things in our location, like cars and things like that. These are microwave detectors, very well used in many cities, many environments across Middle East and Europe. what is this is in one side there is a sensor, microwave transmitter receiver. It transmits microwave data, which reflects on the vehicle. And then when you are setting up, you have to measure the road and say which are the barrier location, trafficable areas, non-traffic areas, and how vehicles go. This is a lane-based logic. It have occlusion possibilities because right next to this, if there is a motorcycle going in lane 2, it will not get detected. Very good solution for presence and detection and incident monitoring. Easy to install and but in India we cannot. We tried to use them in India, but what happened is these systems expect a definite gap between the vehicles, but in India they go close by each other, and the additional lanes will mark them, and then there is a heck of, and we find kilometers long vehicles going, trains going on the road. So very low accuracy on Indian roads. Then we have the conventional video systems where triple in or virtual loops. The conventional loops you change it with virtual loops, or you get into pixel modeling, look at the picture and then try to classify them. These are multiple. These are non-invasive, but these are two types. Field computation. At the field, you can work it as an ATCC, or you can take the video data, pass it to a server with more capability and data crunching capability, and then do it. In India, everybody thought, India, we have a big problem because all these systems which were developed, all ATCs is available, they are all developed overseas. As I mean to say that overseas, the problem that overseas traffic behavior and in India behavior is quite different. They are in international traffic, you find vehicles like this all going and parking in the same lane and things like that. Whereas in India, it is never like that. There is no lane discipline. And you see, no international traffic, you hardly find anything other than 3 or 4 classes. You have scarcely some two-wheelers and cars and cars and cars and some big cars and some then lorries and trucks like that. Whereas in India, we will see. In India, that because of these existed in India, a lot of companies, including me, thought that this should be a solution to handle our situation. But then there is only the best recorded accuracy on video systems is 92%. And even though many systems are now being specified and doing that, there is no certification available in India for any video system software. It is not there yet. But tomorrow, when the computing power is more, when AI power is more, we might get. But fundamentally, Indian system is based on axles. Whereas this whole thing, using video systems, classification is based on the length of the vehicle and look of the vehicle. And it cannot measure the axle parameters. Okay? And they give you a big problem during light, fog, rain, dirt, glare, insects, and all. And they also have limited classification capability. Many companies are now saying that they have AI solution. Now, the best thing about confusing the customer is to talk about AI. Well, he doesn't know anything about it. But then if a knowledgeable person is said that, we have implemented AI, he can ask more details into that. And then the AI processors are not cheap and they can be portable. So what best AI can do today is there is no, unless it is simple iterations and, hill climbing techniques and that kind of things, no AI is available on a portable device other than learning curves. This is another interesting thing, similar thing. This is a single camera coverage for it. Right in the middle of the junction, imagine, right in the middle of the junction, you put a camera. And it is a 360-degree camera, 180, 180. So it is able to see vehicles coming from 300-400 kilometers, 300-400 meters from either way. The moment a moving vehicle is detected, it is or it will go straight. Throughout the transit of this vehicle in the intersection area, it is tagged and the speed, number of stops, delays are measured. You know, even an iPhone nowadays can measure the distances. So when this vehicle is right in the middle of the junction, it is able to detect the edges. During the edges, it is able to provide a 3D modeling and using omnidirectional tracking, it is able to provide you a class of the vehicle, whether it is a small car, or it is a big car, whether it is a pickup van, or it is a truck, like that. This is a software which I am working. It is from a company called Gridmark in US. This is actually the first view, bird view of the camera output. But using video editing facilities, you can make it look like each direction separately and look at it. It is very easy for you to create zones like this. It is a virtual pan and tilt available because it's a camera like this and it can go through, it can pan, tilt, and zoom to a certain extent, but very limited. Zoom navigation of the intersection is only electronic, as you understand. Point click, you can just click here and create a zone like this, for example. It's a remote, it's an IoT ready project. There are fail-safe modes and things like that. This enables data collection from different. It can generate data immediately the way you want it. On a highway, you can put a small you can put a portable pole, and on the top of the pole you can 12 to 14 degrees, 14 meters above the ground. It can provide you. It takes just 30 minutes, but in India, this is too costly a solution and not giving this. So we tried this in Bangalore, in Mumbai. This is a very important thing. You grid smart, traffic analysis. You can make this. You just select the system that you need, and then you want to build a report, for example. So just to go select how many 15 minutes, yes. By approach, yes, by approach. What is the date you want? Pick up the date. What is the time of the day you want? Pick up the time of the day that you need the report, and then say generate. So here you have your report at a remote point. You have the northbound, eastbound, southbound traffic of any intersection. You can have the daily peak hour, peak moments and this thing, and you can get in Acrobat or many kind of thing. You can create bar charts. You can create, this classification is based on the length of the vehicle. You can change the length bins. 0 to 7 feet is motorcycles. 7 to 4 feet is, small cars. And then you can change that. And then, so it is that simple to create data from this modern equipment. The next one I want to talk about a turtle. This is a non-invasive infrared technology. This counts, classifies, identifies lane and measures speed up to 99%, 99, minimum guaranteed is 99. It have up to 200 bins. Unlike any of the other systems, it can accommodate traffic with low lane discipline. It has speed accuracy plus or minus 1% up to 250 kilometers at a 5 sigma. It can define classification table. I found this system when I noticed it in 98, 95, in 2004, 5, 6, that this can be used for India. And I happen to work with this and develop a special software for India. In the next few slides, I will show you how it is done. At 5 centimeter above the ground on the road surface, just 5 centimeter above, on the road surface, parallel to the road surface, a beam is passing from a transmitter to a receiver. These are two beams, one beam at 90 kilohertz and one beam at 106 kilohertz. And these have a pair of parallel and cross beams. As vehicles pass the road, the tires will start braking and making these rays. Mind you, this is using a infrared ray, which have a wavelength of nanometers. And the controller the computer that you use in the receiver is working at nanoseconds accuracy. So we are able to make these measurements accurate to micrometers and micro seconds. So as vehicles keep going on this direction, keep on braking and making this, and the algorithm behind the system will start producing the classes. Now, there will be a question asked, if there are two vehicles going simultaneously, won't they, obstruct each other, and there will be, the other vehicle will get missed. See, the far lanes, the vehicles in the far lanes, near lanes, maybe they may be seeing, shadowing them. But you see here that this patented technology of using a parallel beam and a cross beam helps you to see a vehicle, even if it is exactly the same vehicle going at exactly the same speed, which is improbable. Even in that event, it gets detected. And with this system, you are also, instead of a lane, it is going to be detecting the vehicle anywhere going on the road. Now, when a vehicle like this is going, supposing you are defining to the groups, you are saying we are defining a 5-axle vehicle with which is using a articulated design, not a fixed one. So you will find three groups of wheel A, wheel B, and wheel C. The axle space between each of them we will specify between these. So once this vehicle goes through the area where this turtle is located, the turtle knows this is how it has gone. Counting and grouping of axles and distances between the groups, it is able to accurately classify this. Using this, when we developed and we first put it in India, we got 15 classes designed and put it in, and we got good accuracy. The wheel-based axis, it can, unlike other systems, it can do a lot of other things. For example, when you to classify a LCV and Ambassador C-Class Benz, it is impossible for traditional vehicles because they have exactly the same axle length. But the tires used by them are different. The wheels used are different. Turtle is able to measure the type of tire used by each vehicle. So when a vehicle is reported to the system, which is having the axle length that belong to the LCV, then it will look what is a tire it is. If it is a tire of the car, it is classified as a car, or it is classified as a LCV. Using this, we could have a classification scheme of including all these things, and this was later on modified to include modified tolling pattern of NHAI, including 5-6 axles and 4-5. So you will start with bicycles, cycle rickshaws, two-wheelers, three-wheelers, tractor with one trailer, and very often you find it with two trailers. This is LMV, it's a motor car, LMV, you are calling it light motor vehicle. But mind you, this is the most complex now. You have a Tata Nano to a Mercedes-Benz or, your Toyota, that kind of large cars. All of them come into that light motor vehicle, and we have to put all that. And then this is a new vehicle that has come into small axle. New vehicle, not now, maybe 8 and years it is. These are SUVs, that Tata Tej and, Tusker and that kind of vehicles with 700 kg capacity, small commercial vehicle. Then you have LCV, that is a large commercial vehicle. Then we find MCVs, 2-axle truck, normal truck or a bus, or 3-axle truck or a bus, and 3-axle again articulated truck or a bus. Similarly for 4 and 5-axle, and then 7 and above oversized trucks. So you find the number of classes from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 do not exist for international products. So this particular product was able to distinguish these vehicles accurately because we could look at their axles more importantly. And we have developed, I together developed a particular classification table and detection methodology for this, published it in India, and this gives you better than 99%. And these systems are available some for 500 units already in India. This is the small unit which comes, which can be put on the ground at ground level, as you see. You can even put a solar panel and walk away, put a SIM. This is a IoT ready product. Even if a flood comes here, meter, nothing happens to that because this is a IP67 range. On the highway side of the highways, you can just put it like this and ramp on this. You can put a portable unit on one side and take data counts if you like, and or you can even do the on the junction on the road dividers. You can put two on either side. You know, that way this is very. We have something like 400 units working here. Now I have to show you a small demonstration of this. I'm trying to I'm not getting the I'm sorry for my lack of diligence in this. I have some problem with this. Sorry for that. I'm not able to get the main. I think I accidentally closed that. It looked like probably I have to get out and get in again. Okay. Just hold on for a moment. Sorry for this. What is the software we use? Answer. Yeah. Sharing. Are you able to see this? I'm sharing the point now. Hello, now I am okay with you. See, now I have to share you. So guys, you are able to see video?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's right, yeah. Now you see this is a small software which we have. There is a turtle between these 2 points, and this is vehicles going. This is we have done long time back, and this is how. Let us see how it is running. If I play, as and when the vehicles go from here, the data is captured here. What kind of vehicle it is and how it is going and things like that. People are able to see? Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Very good. So now if I wanted to see one particular vehicle, for example, here, let me say this cycle rickshaw, for example. See, this is the cycle rickshaw, okay? And now let me play. See that cycle rickshaw is coming and going, you see? It is accurately identifying any vehicle that is going on this. And then you see you have an MCV, a bus. A bus is coming here. You are able to see any major vehicle and look at all the axles and parameters concerning it. You can see the number of two-wheelers. You can see that they are not going in lanes. You can see that they are not following any requisite pattern. This is a typical Indian road, and the system put there can actually work without any trouble. Even a guy walking past that did not change anything. And you have that kind of a thing. And you have the data, you see all the vehicles are going in negative direction, and suddenly if I see something going on the opposite direction, you can stop and see them. You can go to anywhere here and then look at it. And then there was one traffic offender here. Saw him somewhere. See this guy, you see this auto rickshaw. You can see, all the direction is negative here. And I found one vehicle going at 21.89 kilometer with a positive direction. See this particular auto rickshaw, you can see, is going against the traffic. Even that is declared, made and understood and everywhere. And this is how it is going. Okay. Now I stopped sharing that. Now I wanted to share you another stuff. This is nothing but an Excel sheet. You are able to see an Excel sheet there, right? You are able to see an Excel sheet?
Yes, sir.
Neeraj?
Yes, sir. Yes.
See, in this Excel sheet, what you find is this is how the system is reporting. This is a standard dump. This data is taken on 13.3 at this 1531 at so on. This is the timestamp. This is the sequence of the data collected. Tag, it's a lane on which it is going. This is a 2-lane road, as you can see. This is the speed, average kilometers. This is the average speed. This is average axle speed. This is the direction in which traffic is going. This is the you have class number. What is the class of the vehicle which is going? What is the class name? It is what kind of vehicle it is. You can see that light axle, motor vehicle, 2-wheeler, 3-wheeler. And then each of the axle data is given, how many axles it has. See, you have a 5-axle truck here, you have a 2-axle truck here, and that kind of a thing. And for each axle, it is giving you, it is giving you a wheelbase. It gives you the length, the presence, width, and distance, and minimum and max. This is the data which traffic engineers need for making the models using occupancy, length, gap, etc. And the system can actually collect data on each and every axle. This is the first axle. After that, it is saying for the first axle, what is actually happening, second axle, what is happening, like that. And you see when axles are more, 5 axle, 6 axle, you have more data for that axles also collected. You see, the larger the vehicle, the larger data. I'm sure this will be a 5 axle axle. This 21. This is 5 axle articulated truck. So this is to what extent that can actually go and give you the information. Okay. Stop sharing. Okay. I get you back to the presentation. So this is the presentation. I'm receiving it. All okay? Neeraj, it's okay?
Yes, sir.
Good, good. So I have shown you the video demonstration and also some sample data from Excel. So, and these are the technologies which we discussed about. I also provided you what is the kind of accuracy and other things that you can get here. I think we have 20 minutes and we have, a lot of. So let me go quickly. This is an emergency phone which we developed in 2004 for Mumbai-Pune Expressway. When we made it, it made it news. And then we are talking about video surveillance systems and how they are now. They can, unlike urban networks, video surveillance is very important. There is multicasting facilities available now to have all this. Then you have video surveillance. Unlike urban ITS, this is a network system has gone. Surveillance is very important for the highways. Identify black spots and potential congestion seats. You keep a camera and monitor and maintenance areas are practiced normally. Multicasting facilities. This is the kind of network, everything coming to a cloud, camera locations, and goes into the control rooms and regional control rooms separately. And then you have, detection by, fast detection of incidents enables video detection, as I told you. See, this is another thing I think. See, this is, I talked about video detection using cameras. These cameras are intelligent by itself. So you look at this camera in your control room and you look at this feed, and after, you are sitting here in front of this video, and after some time you start sleeping. And when an accident happens, you really don't understand what happened actually. But these kind of systems are made in such a way that when an accident happens, they automatically locate the accident and alert the user to look at this properly. Now, if you keep looking at this, everybody lose concentration and then, suddenly a truck, you see it hosted, right tire puncture and it got problem. And fortunately, he is able to make it to a side of the road. An alarm, a point is made, an alarm is sounded, a control room is initiated, incident detection, which this, and immediately 10 seconds before and after picture is taken and send it to the control, patrol vehicles and other people involved in the management of it. And the system automatically keeps zooming and find out what is actually happening near the it is zooming up and seeing what is actually happening. You can see the driver getting down and going around and inspecting the lights and things like that. And you have meteorology systems, which is very, 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 very common abroad, but very less in India. But in North, we need it during monsoon. And also I find most of the people are from the hill areas. There you need this kind of meteorology systems. Then advanced traveler information is one of the things. Everybody nowadays, all of you travel on the Google using Google Maps. As a traffic engineer in my youthhood and 20, 30 years back, I had a dream of providing traffic data. You get down at the airport in Delhi or Chennai or in Calcutta, and I tell you, and you give me your location. You wanted to go to the Mantralaya or Writers Building or wherever, and you will know exact time displayed there on the VMS, which was the case earlier also. And now it is actually not been earlier days when I used to go to London or even in Singapore or any city. You get down from the airport, then you will say city center, 18 minutes. You go to they keep on showing their data on their VMS. But in India, there was no such thing. So our idea, our attempts in those days was to provide something like that. And one fine day, Mr. Google came and he stole all the dreams and he gives to everybody in their hand now. This is a detection and prediction software, and it uses VMS and other advisories. This also helps commercial routing and delivery services. This is, already operational in Singapore. What happens is that ITS data is also shared with public. You can go and you can develop an app. Suppose you are in a logistic business of distributing something based in a city, and you have your trucks and things like moving around, and you wanted to give them a proper route and things like that. You develop an app for your business, pull out the data from the traffic control center on the traffic information, use it in your app so that you define a better distribution network. That is possible in many cities already. And then there is a tolling systems. I don't want to spend much time on that because you already have another exclusive, project discussions on the tolling and collection management. But I'll say tomorrow I'm going to look at toll plazas of this in future. Then there is enforcement, which is a very large area, which is not very important from the later. This is part of operations. You have drivers are to be tested, and then you have real-time enforcement as part of your operation, and you have minimize personal contact and cash transactions, transparency, improve enforcement index, reduction. And the best thing is now there is a legal framework now. Facilities for period calibration is not available in India, unfortunately. Database sharing is among that. So you know about Vahan and Saradi initiatives where you can get data. There is an equipment and back office required for online operations like this, and you have operations and maintenance. Speed enforcement, these are the technologies that you normally use for speed enforcement. And then overloading is another major area where in India we have to, both goods and passenger are routinely overloaded. Weighing motion technologies are now well advanced and should be used extensively. Few tolling systems always have started using low speed VMS, their their AVCCs. Overloading reduces the life of both the vehicle and of the road. This is the red light for backup, and this is the importance of using camera identification. Now you see a person is walking on the left, and then an accident happened, and he died. How he died? This is how he died. If you have not captured it, no amount of working out will help you to do this again. To actually know how this happened will be impossible to understand if this particular video is not captured. So similarly, the chain of evidence for lane enforcement, the legal aspects, type approval equipment, the system certification, and finally, the data incident capture, and then re-verification, then this approved, final checked by officers, and issue the challan, track the challan, get the money, and if there's a court hearing, that. This is the back office system. At the moment, I think it is a little too much. And this is another thing which we have to now. In India, we had no lanes. And now we have lanes. I know when I started the thermoplastic business in India in the year 1994-95, there was no thermoplastic available in India. We have imported thermoplastic and marking machines from Germany and then from US, and did the first time Mumbai Corporation tried to help us in the beginning, and the first project was Delhi Ambala Road, and for many years that became a model of road marking. People used to say we want that company to do it, and we continue doing it, and now it has become very common, and we are out of. I mean, I'm no longer in that business, but that was one of the good things happened to India at that time. These are the breath analyzers. After COVID, they are using much less of this. The problem is this requires constant recalibration, and surveys. All the systems, all these breath analyzers in India are imported, and only 20% functional. In India, they are trying to outsource one project with few of these kind of systems. One officer who was jealous to get this going, got it awarded quickly to the government company, and they installed one system. And it didn't work because things were not well thought out, and that was subsequently scrapped. The importance of persuasive enforcement. It is recommended that any automatic enforcement should go in hand with improvement in services and introduction of technology solutions for mitigating commuter woes. This is another thing about tolling, road pricing. Road pricing is in any system is directly charges on the model for roading, use of the road or the network of the roads. It can also include area or a cordon or a zone or anything like that. And then there is congestion charging. Charging users of a transport system for network usage during period of peak to reduce traffic congestion. These have congestion charging and road pricing have two distinct objectives: revenue generation and demand management. Congestion charges are dynamically assigned as per time of day, day of the week, and holidays. These are some ERPs. I'm not getting again more into this because you have an exclusive session earmarked on this. Now, in India, these measures are yet to come, but we have some technical measures. In Mumbai, CBD is already notified, but then it is still a long way off. Odd and even vehicles in Delhi did an experiment, which is a joke. All of you know. Chinese example, not all during high traffic season. Diwali, how many people got stuck on the highways? Again, Christmas vacation. And in Singapore, they have a much better road system where they are going to charge for. So these are the design components. These are not much in operation. That is why I am saying this is how ITS going to grow in future. For the proposed Mumbai-Nagpur Super Expressway, I was doing initial research, initial design for the ITS, and there are many modern things we have planned for it. I don't know how much of them will be. We have a utility corridor running alongside the road till the end, which will take care of storm irrigation, drinking and water drainage pipelines, gas pipelines, and all that. We also have numerous fist holes other than regular manholes on the utility corridor. These fist holes will be populated with electronics, sensors to engage passing vehicles, V2I communication. This will enable safety of driverless vehicles and cars. It is possible to run huge road trains which are interconnected cargo trucks via Bluetooth. You have a number of cargo trucks connected with Bluetooth, and on the highway, have one end to the other end, you have electronic guidance system, and the driver in the first seat connects with this thing, and it goes, and every vehicle goes. A road train goes at the speed of 120, 150 kilometers with high speed and very good connected vehicles. These Seamless tolling is what we planned for that. User fee. This is the user fee we are not in and out. You pay this fee. However you use the road doesn't matter. Independent toll assurance program, zero leakage. Interactive is available for all road users. And there is a super incident detection and management planned for this. This refers to our earlier. We have continuous drone surveillance every 50 kilometers. There is VID enabled cameras. Our strategic positions, ambulances, and recovery vehicles are 2 helipads planned in the highway for air ambulances. Well-coordinated rescue and trauma care with defined SOP. This is the modern maintenance management system. Network survey vehicles are employed for both directions, running every day. Images are online transmitted to maintenance team for necessary action. A documented process generating evidences from the point of registration of a completion, registration of a requirement to completion of the maintenance service. And we have routine and preventive maintenance schedules and developed and monitored. And it has to follow the best asset management. This is a very important thing. This is how we are going to grow. Maintain and migrate traffic database to big data formats and generate knowledge using AI tools. Data processing, data get processed and you get information. Big data get processed and then you generate knowledge. So all the current data which we are getting, we have to first, transform them into big data format and then get the strings and, do AI processing on that to generate knowledge. Provide traffic information to road users by various channels. This knowledge and technology support group responsible for implementing and maintenance of surface electronics for sensors and the sensor layer throughout the highway. Manage operations of the road trains and connected vehicles. Support emerging trends. These are the things which are going to be there in that. Now I have 6 minutes to answer your questions. Anybody would like to ask questions? Hello, everybody there on sleep? Hello?
Yes, sir.
What about, I didn't hear a single participant asking anything. I think as a part of your certification process, you have to make sure that all the participants participate. Is it true that you understood everything or you didn't understand anything? Dear participants, anybody would like to talk something? Hello? Found many of you have your Bharat Kumar Asram. You are online, you can speak. Oh, you cut. Ish Tyagi. Oh, you have logged in twice. So Neeraj, who is controlling it if there is no questions? So this is my email ID and details. I hope all of you are given a PDF print of this presentation. You can go through them. I am available. I'm a freelance consultant.
Okay, sir.
I have done many projects in India and is willing to take up work that is interesting to me. But I am open to any of my students and participants who we have come to know. Many of you are practicing engineers. In few years' time, you will be knowing more about this than me. So please let me know if anybody need any more help anytime. Send me a mail. All right. Is there any question? You can also, if people are difficult. I find some questions here. Okay. From Thai Mog to everyone, he asks a question. How does unit of rice of liter Arju? How does unit of rice is liter? Oh, that is because we are trying to look at the volume. It is the same rice by kilo. I'm taking a liter of rice so that is the time taken. 1 liter of rice will be the same volume. So that is why it is taken as a liter of rice, not a kilo of rice. I hope I answered that. If there is any more query, Mog, are you sure? Mog Taiwu? I should tell NH, the IAHE to make sure that the participants contribute in the interactions to have their certificates. Otherwise, it becomes very boring. It is very interesting to give a lecture in a class looking at the live faces and seeing whether they are actually following or not. This is a quite dull thing, which I'm started getting bored. So if you people don't, participate well, you will find less participative faculties. All right, thank you everyone for your time. And if there is anything, please get back. Thank you. Time
We are listening to you, sir. It is quite interesting and it is quite educating.
Thank you, Ajay Kumar Singh. If you have any doubts or on any point, anytime, you can all get back to me.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
Thank you, Ajay. I'm glad of the 40 participants, 38 participants, at least one person talk. If there is nothing more, I ask the host to call off. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.